Welcome back to Friday 13th Metalheads. Today you're going to be watching an interview with Danish progressive metal act Pyramaze. Now, Pyramaze are about to release a new album on the 23rd of June on AFM Records called Bloodlines, which is a fantastic follow-up to the album Epitaph. So I'd like to thank Jonas for doing this interview. I'd also like to thank Judith for setting up the interview from AFM Records. Thanks for watching, Metalheads. Be safe. Please leave comments. Please share on social media sites. Thanks for watching. Be safe. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How's your day been?
It's been good. I was actually just in the studio writing a new Pyramaze song for our next album. So
Awesome. So thank
yeah.
you for doing this interview for Friday the 13th. I hope you're well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, do you like the backdrop?
I love it. Thank you. Yeah, it's great.
So I've only actually ever interviewed you guys once before, and that was for the first album. So that was some time ago.
Wow. Yeah. Almost 20 years ago, I suppose.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, and I'd like to thank you for doing this interview for Friday 13th. This is the second interview we've done in such a long time. So I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions first. As a
Okay.
keyboard player, who inspired you to become a keyboard player? And is anybody in your family musically inspired and play instruments?
No one in my family plays any instruments. So I was the first, but my family was very supportive of what I do because they're all artists and writers of different kinds. Like my dad is actually a world famous poet. So I grew up in a household that was very just generally supportive of the arts. And so when I showed talent at a young age, my dad got really excited and he bought me a keyboard. He bought me my first keyboard. But musical, like, so my first actual keyboardist, I guess, that I was really inspired by when I was a wee gentleman was Yanni. I don't know if you're familiar with Yanni.
No, I'm not familiar. Enlighten me. I might do when you tell me what it is.
He's kind of like a new age instrumentalist. Some of it's kind of cheesy, but it's very melodic and very emotional sounding stuff. And then the pianist George Winston, who actually just passed away 3 days ago on Sunday, he's another one of my really early musical inspirations who I've always been inspired by.
Okay, what about keyboards in the heavy metal vibe? Which keyboard players in the heavy metal scene inspired you?
So now I'm actually just into film score composers like John Williams and Hans Zimmer and Danny Elfman. But in my early 20s and late teens, when I was discovering keyboards in metal, Yanni Werman from Children of Bodom, and then the fellow named Lecter, I guess was his name, from Cradle of Filth, and the fellow from Demo Borgir. So a lot of the European keyboardists, and Tuomas from Nightwish too, of course.
It sounds like you're influenced by a lot of extreme keyboard players in extreme bands.
Yeah, definitely.
No, nothing like Joe Jansen from the Johansson brothers. None of those guys inspired you? Jens Johansson?
Oh, from Stradivarius. Yeah, sure. Yeah, like in my early 20s, I liked Jens a lot.
Okay, then. So you've been playing keyboard all your life. You never played a guitar or drums? Was it just keyboards your first love and that was it?
Yeah, I mean, I tried playing guitar and drums because I didn't think keyboard players were cool when I was a kid. So, but I wasn't any good at it, so I just stuck with what I was good at, and it's worked well for me. So,
Okay, then. So what was the first band you was involved with that did demos, recorded demo tapes or anything before Pyramaze?
um, so my first band I was ever in was called Infernal Method. I was only in that band for 4 months, and I never recorded anything with them. But it was a melodic death metal band from Sydney, Australia. And then I joined Pyramaze right after that when I was 19. So I've been in Pyramaze for 21 years.
Are you Danish ancestry then? Is that where you're from originally?
Mm-mm. Nope. I grew up in Vermont in the USA.
Okay, because you've got like a very Scandinavian name. So obviously you have a Scandinavian family, I presume, living in America.
My name is, I would say, more Eastern European. My last name is German. So,
All right. Okay. Sorry to say that. I just thought you was from Scandinavia, like the rest of the guys moved to America. So
yeah. Well, actually, a lot of people assume that. So, but no, I'm just an American dude
Okay, then so I'm going to ask you a little bit about the first Pyramaze album. How successful was it for you? Because I believe you were signed to Lance King's label when you released that first album. I actually saw you at Bloodstock Festival.
Wow. Yeah, I actually still talk about that show. That was so cool. Um, some fans brought a like a big Braveheart sword down from Scotland for us to sign. So we all signed this like huge sword, and that was the thing I remember the most. But that was a good show.
I think you probably know friends of mine, Chrissy and Phil from Yorkshire. They're friends of Lance King. We were all backstage, we all met, and I've got photos of you live, so I'll have to send some to you when I get around to it from that gig.
Yeah, yeah, please do. Um, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, when Melancholy Beast came out, we were signed to Lance's label for U.S. distribution, but also we had a European label. I
Was
think
it
it was
was it
Replica Record,
right? Okay. Yeah, replicate, yeah.
and then and for Japan we were on EMI. So we had all these record deals for different
So why
areas of
did
the world.
I mean Lance did the second album with Legends of the Bone Carver. That was a slightly different album, slightly darker, wasn't it? Music. It was slightly going for a darker approach.
Yeah, I started getting. You can tell the sort of the shift as far as the keyboards go that I was starting to really draw more influence from film composers then, which worked because Legend of the Bone Carver was this big epic concept. And so I was trying to incorporate whatever I could from my film score inspiration into that album, and it made it more cinematic and fit the lyrical content.
Okay, so why did Lance leave the band? Was it something that he wanted to concentrate doing other things, or
Um, I don't know if I want to get into the specifics per se, but we just decided to go in a different direction at that time.
okay, no problem. It's not a problem, my friend. So the next album you did Immortals in 2008. That's when Mat Barlow joined the band. How excited was it for you to get Matt in the band?
Very. I grew up listening to Matt sing with Iced Earth. Like the Something Wicked This Way album was given to me on my 17th birthday by my best friend. And he actually bought that album because he thought the cover art was cool. And he was like, "Oh, Jonah will like this." And he was right. So yeah, I mean, when I heard when I heard Matt was joining the band, I was very stoked and very excited. It didn't seem real to me.
No, the music started to sound a little bit more different when he joined as well, didn't it? It went for a slightly different direction again for the third album.
Yeah, Immortal was a bit of a darker, kind of heavier, raw sounding album.
I think if I remember right, that album had little elements of Ice Death, not because of his vocals, but I think some of the playing as well. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe subconsciously, Michael, our guitar player, was kind of. I mean, he was writing songs with Matt's voice in mind, so I'm sure that seeped in there. But yeah,
Okay, then. So, I mean, after that, you did Urban Breed joined the band because I'm friends with his old band, Tad Morose, but he didn't actually record anything with either. Is it just live performances he did?
that's correct. Yeah, we toured Denmark with Volbeat in 2008, and he was our singer for that. But unfortunately, we never recorded anything with him. No, it was just logistically didn't work out.
Just no demo songs, nothing at all, just live performances, and that was it.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, then. So did you ever think of getting Matt back in the band after Urban did the live touring, or was it Matt was just too involved doing like police work and Iced Earth and other projects that he was doing?
Yeah, I think Matt was had other things going on for sure. Like he did rejoin Iced Earth at that time. So yeah. So then we ended up getting Terje, who joined in 2013.
Right, because the main songwriters, Nils and Michael, left the band, didn't they? And you had some replacements in the band. What was it? Why did they leave? Was it just something they just got fed up of, like being live performances and touring and recording, wanted to get away from the music scene?
Well, so Michael was our main songwriter. Nils wasn't, but so Michael left just because it was just too much stress and too much for him to balance with his everyday life. Also, and we were sad that he left, but we understood his reasons, and he gave us the choice of continuing the band without him, and we said hell yeah. Um, And then Nils left because he didn't think it made sense to do the band without Michael in it anymore.
Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. I guess there was some
Yeah.
sort of brotherhood there, bond between them both.
Yeah, and I get it. Obviously, Nils was wrong because we've had a very successful career afterwards. And when Jacob joined, everything has continued forth and gone really well. So,
Okay, so what did you find Terje as a singer? What band was he in before joining Pyramaze?
Terje was in a band called Theodore Tough, and then they changed their name to Crossnail, I think. I don't even know if that's still active or not. But Jacob was mixing that band that he was in, or he was mixing a Divided Multitude album, I think, and Terje was singing backup vocals on it, and Jakob just turned the knob on the background vocals up, and and then he was like, "Whoa, what is this? This is great," And so he asked the fellow from Divided Multitude about who that was, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's my cousin Terje." So then Jakob was like, "Oh, do you think that he might want to join Pyramaze because we're looking for a singer?" So yeah, that's how that all happened. Actually, it's kind of a funny story.
It's got a quite a unique voice. It's kind of got like a progressive voice, but it's also got like the new sort of metal sound as well. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah,
Crossover.
yeah, I would say so. He definitely has. Sometimes he reminds me a bit of Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. Rest in peace. Yeah, sort of a mixture of that maybe with some of the more like modern rock singers, but then also he's got some Dio in there and all that.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob plays bass guitar in the band as well as the guitars, doesn't he? Have you not got a bass player in the band for like live performances or studio work?
Right. We never replaced Nils when he left in 2011 or whatever it was. And so yeah, Jacob plays bass on our albums also.
What about live? Are you looking at finding a live touring bass player?
Yeah, we don't have a live bassist.
Are you going to be looking for one? Because obviously you're going to be touring for this new album when it's released.
We hope to play some shows. We've been playing shows without a bass player though now ever since Nils left. We just we have to throw it on a backing track. It doesn't make sense for us right now to find a bass player because it's another mouth to feed and another personality, another cook in the kitchen, another plane ticket, etc. And things are tight with budgets.
Right then, so, I'm looking at it. Jacob's been involved with quite a few bands that I'm friends with. Like obviously, I knew his old band Invocator. He's been involved with Twilight, Anubis Gate, and recently I've just interviewed Anubis Gate on Monday this week. I was interviewing Kim and Hendrik, and I noticed that your music and their music is very similar. And I didn't realize that Morten was in both bands. Believe it or not. So that I can see the connection.
Yeah, and also Henrik has written some lyrics and vocal melodies too for Pyramaze. So
yeah, I can see that. Because when I was reviewing Anubis Gate's new album, I was comparing your band to them and vice versa. You're very similar in style somewhat, but I think you've got more, like I said, more of a modern music style, whereas Anubis Gate are more like new romantic, progressive. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
they're definitely more proggy than us.
There's definitely a connection there, but you can feel the vibe, and I think you guys would be great touring together. But obviously, Morten can't do 2 sets in one night; it'd be a little bit too much for him.
Right? Yeah.
But it would have been good to see both bands touring together if it could have worked.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So, the first album that Contingent did was Disciples of the Sun. That was a really good album. It's very different from what you've done. Like I say, you've gone for a more modern sound. Was that intentional with the new singer?
We haven't really consciously decided like we're going to sound like this or we're going to sound like that. We just have been writing the music that comes naturally to us. And I've noticed, it's just sort of gotten a bit more modern, but also a bit more symphonic too, as the years have gone by and like from album to album. The song I was just in the studio writing for our 8th album is just like a huge symphonic thing. Yeah, so I mean, as the songs that I'm writing are definitely going more and more in this direction of symphonic. So, and like, it just sounds like a huge movie score.
Yeah, I've noticed that with the songs on the new one, because I've just reviewed the album for you. I said it sounds a cross between Camelot, Pagan's Mind, and also a little bit of New Biscuit, obviously for the reasons that Morten did both bands. But do you agree with Matt, the Camelot and the Pagan's Mind in there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely.
So how do you see this? How do you see this new album as a progression from the previous albums that you've done? Because it sounds very bombastic. This new album.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for us, it feels like a natural continuation of the Epitaph album, which was our last one. So anyone that likes the Epitaph album will surely like Bloodlines as well.
What about the album before that, Contingent? How do you see that as a progression leading up to Epitaph and Bloodlines?
The Contingent album, actually, it kind of feels a little bit like an odd man out. That one was a bit proggier, I guess, and we had this like kind of post-apocalyptic theme going and very sci-fi, and there's some really great songs on that album, especially some of the like kind of deeper cuts in there. But yeah, that definitely stands out as sort of a bit different. If you take like the Disciples of the Sun album and then our two newest albums, Bloodlines and Epitaph, and you put them together, I feel like Contingent kind of strayed a little bit away.
Do you see these last three albums as like a concept overruling each other, like a continuation of each other?
Lyrically, no, I don't think so. I don't know. We're kind of weird because we could just do anything really, but it always still sounds like Pyramaze somehow.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, would you say your music is progressive power metal, or would you say it's symphonic progressive power metal? Not that you change a little bit more symphonic these days, like you said.
Right. I mean, to me, it feels like modern symphonic melodic metal. We have elements of power and prog in our stuff, but I don't think it's so in the forefront that we would fall into that. I think it's good that it's kind of hard to classify us because we don't want to sound like anyone else, and I don't think that we do really sound exactly like anyone else that's out there.
No, I kind of agree with you on that one. I mean, like I said, the only band that I could really come close to is Camelot, just by the way that you've got that real bombastic sound like they have. I mean, you'd be great touring with those guys.
Yeah, yeah. So feel free to take us on tour, Camelot, if you're listening.
I know, Tom. I'll have a word with him for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the new album was produced by Jacob Hansen, as we all know, is one of the top Danish producers. Having him in the band, does it make it easier or harder?
It definitely makes it easier because we always sound so good, and our whole process is very streamlined that way because it's not like we're outside band members and then we're sending everything to a producer who's not in the band. We're working on all of our ideas like within that sort of realm of being in his studio already and having his studio be the home base of all the tracks that are getting mailed around and everything and all the ideas. So it's very efficient.
Okay, so when this album was recorded, I presume you did all your keyboard parts in America and then just filed them over to Jacob.
Yeah, that's the way I've been working ever since the Disciples of the Sun album. I used to fly to Denmark to record my parts there.
I say a lot of bands seem to be doing it in their own studios and just sending them over through the internet, don't they? And then the tool Cubase or tool iTunes are all like the editing side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The things have changed over the years.
So I mean, the new album, and you've got some guest appearances on this album, haven't you? You've got like a Melissa Bonnie who's doing the duet on the Dark Side of the Moon. No, that's not a Pink Floyd song, is it? Just to let everybody know.
Right. Yeah, that's the name of her other band. She's in Ad Infinitum and Dark Side of the Moon.
Right. Okay. And you've also got a Kai Hansen on there as well.
Yeah, Tim Hansen plays some solos and some really awesome guitar melodies on the song "The Midnight Sun."
A lot of people would probably think it's Jacob Hanson's son. If they didn't know it was Kai Hansen, wouldn't they really?
Right. Yeah, I
So,
mean, for sure.
so I mean, you've got like a couple of guest appearances on it. How did you hook up with all these people? How did it come about?
Well, with Melissa, Jacob's been producing and mixing a lot of her bands that she's in over the years. So he knew her from that. And then I was working with her, some of her solo material with her that actually hasn't been released yet. And I wrote the song Alliance with her in mind specifically because I had gotten her to agree to sing on a song before the song was written. So it was pretty sweet to make it for a duet between her and Terje. And then Olaf Mork from Amaranth did a guitar solo on the song The Mystery, and he just was in the studio with Jacob working on the new Amaranth album, so that worked out nicely. You know, our lead guitarist quit last summer, so either we weren't going to have any guitar solos on our record, or we were going to have some cool guest appearances, and so we opted for that, obviously. And then Andrew Kingsley from Unleash the Archers also did a solo on the song The Mystery. It's a really cool like guitar and keyboard solo trade-off between Andrew and then me and Olaf, which I was very happy about because I really love and respect both of them as lead guitarists. So Brittany Slays from Unleash the Archers sang on a guest appearance on our last record, Epitaph, too. And then Jacob's been mixing them all their newer albums. So there's all these sort of connections, and it's all mostly through Jacob. So.
Okay, so Jacob didn't actually do any guitar solos on this album. He just did most of the rhythm. Is that what he did on this album?
Yeah, he doesn't play solos at all. He's not a lead player.
Okay, then. So the album title, Bloodlines, who came up with the title? Because it's a fantastic album cover done by Remedy Designs.
Yeah, I came up with the album title. It's a reference to the kind of deep history of Pyramaze. You know, now that we've been around for more than 20 years, and the brotherhood that we all have, and the friendship that we've all built, and how Pyramaze is one big family.
Okay, so what does Pyramaze mean for the people out there watching this that don't know? What does it specifically mean? Does it have a meaning to it?
Absolutely nothing. It's just the word pyramid and maze put together, because I remember back when we were trying to come up with a name for the band, it was like, how do you do something that's original? All the power metal bands are just like, blah, 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 forest, dragon, fire, whatever, dawn of something or other. And we didn't want to have a really kind of generic power metal name. So I think Pyramaze it really fit, and we just liked it, and the logo looked cool. So
you haven't really changed it much since you designed this logo, have you? It's pretty much stayed the same throughout your career.
Yeah, it's always been the same. The Pyramaze symbol came about on the Legend of the Bone Carver album, and we've kept that ever since.
Right. Okay. I really like the artwork for this. It kind of reminds me somewhat a little bit, I don't know how, but Avatar, the film, it kind of looking at the artwork, it kind of know what I mean by that.
I never noticed that before, but maybe, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's just like a new, like, because the new Avatar film's kind of underwater and more, and it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Mm.
It's a very interesting cover, but it's really bright and it looked fantastic as a t-shirt.
Yeah. And the t-shirts are available. I know you can get them at merchbooth.net.
Okay, then.
Right
so how long did it take to record this album?
Well, we were working on it kind of throughout the pandemic. So I know I wrote my songs for it in like 2020. I had a little bit of downtime to work on it. And with us, we kind of like get to it when we have the time, because we have to fit it around all of our other obligations. So yeah, it took a couple years, I guess, to just like get it finally wrapped up. And then I know that we had to hustle towards the end there. Label deadlines are a good thing because it holds us accountable to finish things up in a timely fashion.
Right, okay. So you've been with AFM Records for the last 3 albums. Are you happy with the things are going with AFM?
Good. Actually, so this is our second album with AFM.
Right.
The Epitaph was our first. But yeah, we love working with them. They're great at promotion, and they're really professional.
I just noticed that you've got another guitarist in the band called Turk. What band was he with?
So Toke isn't in the band anymore. He left last summer.
Right.
He was our
Okay.
lead player. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I think he was in a band called Diamond or something. Diamond, like a bunch of years ago, but he's mostly just done rock stuff other than Pyramaze.
Right. Okay. So when you look at the new album, apparently it's getting released as a DVD and CD. Is that correct? What is the DVD?
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, just looking at the promotion, I think it says CD or DVD. And it's just like, okay, DVD. What's it going to be? Is it going to be like surround sound?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just says on the track. It just sounds on the track listing for the biography. It says CD or DVD. I'm like, okay, DVD. What's that then? Is it a live thing? Obviously, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen by the looks of it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
That's funny.
So the songs from the new album, do you have any favorites and why? Which ones did you enjoy recording the most?
Well, so with the song The Mystery, I was kind of actually inspired by a song from the very first Pyramaze album called The Power of Imagination, because it has this big epic sort of outro thing. So I wanted to do something kind of like that, and it works nicely. But I guess my favorite song on the whole album would be Taking What's Mine, just because it's the most driving, and I think the vocal melodies are the best on the album.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been listening to the album quite a lot when I've been working out at the gym the last couple of weeks, just trying to get into it and get the vibe of it. But there's definitely a connection between this album and the last one. You can tell it's a continuation.
Yeah, we've really hit our stride now, and I think we've really kind of fallen into this new sound. I mean, we're always evolving and changing, obviously, but I feel so comfortable just with our creative process, and that's a really nice feeling, just knowing that we can all count on each other to do an amazing job and to continue to make albums that we're going to love and that our fans are going to love.
So you've done a couple of promotional videos for this album so far. Are you doing any more promotional videos before it's released, after its release?
Yeah, we have a cool video for Taking What's Mine, and I think that'll come out sometime. Don't quote me on this, but maybe in August, like a bit after the album comes out.
Right. Okay. And so what sort of press reviews have you been getting so far? I've reviewed the album for you, but I haven't uploaded it yet because it's like another 3 or 4 weeks before it's released. So I'm holding back a little bit.
Yeah. I've only seen one review online, and I was really nervous. I was like, okay, here we go, because I feel like we've kind of notoriously never put out a bad album. So I was like, well, I hope people like this album too, and so I was, kind of anxious opening the review. I think it was from Metal Temple, and they gave us a really great review. So I was like, okay.
I'll give it 4.5 out of 5. So I really like the album. It's got a fantastic production, but you've got Jacob, obviously one of the top producers in Denmark. It helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you for that great review.
You're welcome. I'll send you the link when it's ready, Johan. But are you planning on doing any gigging this year when this album's released? You got any festivals coming up or anything?
We don't have anything for the rest of this year, but we have some possible things in the works for next year. It's all tentative at this point.
And what do you think about doing a live DVD? Do you think they're necessary in today's day and age, or do you think it's not necessary anymore? Have you talked about doing a DVD?
We've discussed it. Yeah, we did film our 2016 Prog Power USA performance, so it would be really cool to have that released.
Maybe it should have come out, like I said, this DVD thing that I thought you were doing should have been with this new album. That would have been cool to have that as a bonus.
Right.
What do you think on that? Do you think that should have been part of the package?
Yeah. And I'm actually not 100% sure that it's not also. I don't know. I just don't know. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you, Johan, for doing this interview. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube? Thank you for your time, and I wish you all the best with the album.
Yeah. Well, I like to close out my interviews by just saying thank you to all of our fans who have been there since day one, and to all of our newer fans who we have acquired along the way, and that we all really love you and appreciate your support for all the years. And we promise to just keep making great albums.
Thank you, Joe, and have a nice day. And I will send you the interview and the album review once it's online.
Sure. Yeah, appreciate that. That'd be awesome.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Say hi to the guys for me.
You.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.